Well, hello, friends, and a happy Super Bowl Sunday to you. Now, you're probably looking at your calendar or your watch, and you're like, it is not Super Bowl Sunday. Well, it is as I'm recording this, and that is why I'm making the meal that I'm making today, and I wanted to share it all with you. But I recognize fully that by the time you view this, the Super Bowl will have elapsed, and either the 49ers or the Chiefs will have won. Now, I myself am fairly agnostic as to who's going to win this one. I guess I lean toward the Chiefs because I'm a Florida State Seminoles fan, and they also do the fight song and the chop. I don't do it as well as Florida State, of course, but we can't all be perfect now, can we? Anyway, I am here today with a really cool recipe, one of our very favorites over time. It is a pizza recipe. So the pizza baking is actually going to take place much, much later. But what I really wanted to walk you guys through today was the making of the pizza dough. It really could not be simpler. Now, admittedly, I have a little bit of help with my beautiful yellow KitchenAid stand mixer. However, I did this by hand for years and years and years, and you can too. You'll basically follow these exact same instructions, but when I say that the KitchenAid is kneading, you will knead yourself with your hands. Anyway, let us get started. This is super simple. I will include the recipe in the notes. Okay, first thing you'll want is warm, but not hot, 1 cup of water. Now, I recognize that due to the nature of our tiny kitchen here today, as advertised, you will not be able to see every little thing that I'm doing. But you'll trust me on this one, and I'll show you as we go. Okay, so I'm just putting in 1 cup of water, and then I am putting in some active dry yeast. Here we are now, our good friends at Fleischmann's, who are not sponsors of this video, though they could be. Call me Fleischmann's, call me. They require 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast in order to get started. Now, I confess to you, I have somehow misplaced my 1 teaspoon measure. That happens sometimes. It might be in the dishwasher. So I'm using my half measure. So that is 1 teaspoon. And here's 2 teaspoons. And then we'll just eyeball the rest. We don't stand on formality here now, do we? So, all that's going to require, you don't even really need to wait for it to ferment, to be honest. If there's a recipe that says you do, just simply ignore it, and that is fine. Now, one thing that I'd like to go ahead and do is get all of my non-flour ingredients going. So I'm going to do that now. The next one is a 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. No magic to it. 1/4 cup there. Landed with a satisfying thud. And then what I'm going to do is put in, to start, a cup of flour. Now, you will end up using about 3 1/2 cups of flour by the time this whole thing is over, and this black shirt will then be covered in white dust, and that's fine. That's how we do it. We're not expecting guests tonight. It's just Lily and me, so we're going to just simply enjoy our lives. Okay, so here is the first, and I'm doing this kind of slowly because I'm using it in that same measuring cup, which only contains 1 cup. Pouring that in now. Now, actually, you know what I'm going to do? This is a little hack I like to do. I like to go ahead and refill that measuring cup because you're going to need the extra flour in a couple of minutes. So that is now filled up a second time. Now, one thing I really like to do when making this pizza dough is add in all of these spices. So the first few are ones that you're going to expect. Now, I haven't begun to even knead this yet, guys. So we're doing all this before we even begin. First is Italian seasoning, and I, like any haphazard cook, I do not measure. I like a little Italian seasoning, so I'm adding it in. And then next, I'm going to put in some onion powder. That might have been too much onion powder. We'll see if Lily notices later. I'm going to put in some garlic powder. Hopefully less. Oh yes, that's less garlic powder. Perhaps the onion and the garlic will offset. Now I'm putting in just a tiny touch of chili powder. And just like literally 2 spritzes. I don't know, it just gives it a nice smoky flavor. And now this last one, I'm going to add salt and pepper as well. But as far as the spices go, this last one was a mistake. The very first time I ever used cumin seed in my pizza dough was a total error. To be perfectly honest, right above this KitchenAid are 2 big cabinets. In fact, that is where you are sitting visiting with me now. At the top cabinet, the top shelf, the cumin seed fell out. It just jumped out while I was cooking. And guess what? It opened and landed in the dough. And lo and behold, it was really good. So I don't put a lot. but I just kind of sprinkle a little bit in because it adds a nice little surprise. Now I've left my salt and pepper out here on the counter. I'll be right back. Please excuse me. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? Were you happy with the outcome? I'm sure I will be happy with the outcome no matter what happens. Okay, so now we're just putting in our salt. Now this makes a lot of dough, so I'm kind of being heavy-handed with the salt and pepper. And then the pepper. I put in a lot of pepper because I really like it. I'll just keep going. I think that's enough. Okay, so now comes the exciting part. I'm putting down the KitchenAid, and I've locked it into place, and I'm just putting it on stir for the moment. And what you would do if you don't have a stand mixer is you would just do it by hand. And frankly, I just would stir with a spoon. You know, no magic to it. You don't need to knead it just yet. And then you'll quickly find out that all of the dry goods are mixing in with the liquids. Things are really beginning to take off. Things are beginning to look good. And then you can kick it up a notch so flour doesn't go flying all over. Now, once that's fairly well combined, you can start adding the rest of your flour. Now, by hand, you would just do this the same way. You would stir for a few minutes, and then once it begins to kind of coagulate, so the wrong word, but once it begins to, well, congeal's not a good word either. Once it begins to mix in properly, then you will add more flour. The trick with this is what you really want to end up with, honestly, is a dry and non-sticky final product. Now, for kneading, that's going to require probably 5 to 7 minutes worth of kneading and kind of putting in extra flour here and there. This is going to take a little less time, and that's fine. That's fine, I say. Is that, you know, I don't mean to brag about that. So while that continues to mix, I'm going to add some more flour to my measuring cup. Because why not, I ask you. Now this would be 3 cups of flour here, roughly. And things are looking very nice indeed in the stand mixer. I'll show you in a minute. I just don't want to make you sick by bringing you back and forth so many times. You understand the limitations of a tiny kitchen. And this dough, I have found, is just so incredibly versatile. You can make calzones with it. You can certainly make pizzas with it. You can do breadsticks with it. It freezes absolutely beautifully. In fact, I'm not doing a double batch tonight, but I should. It goes in the fridge just great, so a lot of times I'll make it the day before. Now again, that's not me today. I'm kind of coming in here close to the 11th hour, so to speak. That's okay too. But once I let this rise, I will put it in the fridge for a little while because it makes it easier to handle. But you can even do it 24, 36 hours ahead, stick it in the fridge, have done with it. Likewise, if you have it in the freezer for 4 months or something, when you're ready to use it, just bring it out the day before and put it in the fridge and let it defrost that way. Okay, now we're forming a nice ball, a nice dough ball here, but I'm putting in some more flour. Because what I've found is you can't be fearful with the flour. You can't put in just by a little bit. That's not going to work. Put in more flour than you think you will need, and you will have almost the right amount. It's been my expertise in this, such as it is. Now, this recipe was given to me, and I've made a ton of modifications to it, but the base recipe was given to me by my friend Lisa, gosh, back in 2000, I think. We used to work together, and she brought this recipe to one of our potlucks. You know, she bought a pizza margarita, and this crust was one of the most amazing doughs I have ever had in my life. So I was like, Lisa, I have to have the recipe. And over the years, I've modified it, but in general, it has kept the same base of yeast and flour and olive oil and water. I've just added a whole bunch more spices, including cumin seed, to be honest, and a little more flour than her recipe called for as well. Now, please excuse the banging here, but I'm putting in some more flour. I think we're getting kind of close. And in fact, I'm going to live a little dangerously if I need more flour and just pour it straight into the stand mixer. So I've got this going at a pretty good clip. I've got it on 2, which is higher than stir, but it's not like flying. And the reason for that is that you don't want your flour to just go flying all over the place. And you don't want to overwork the dough as the dough becomes, you know, well, more dough-like and less liquidy and mushy and soft. So it's really going to town in there, but I think we can use a little more flour. So I'm just going to put this in. Oh, and I should add, you'll see a lot of recipes that call for specialty flour and this, that, and the other thing. I don't fool with that kind of thing. This is just plain old Safeway, all-purpose, pre-sifted flour. And it has worked just fine for my needs. Now, I don't know if you can hear this thing bucking and snorting a little bit. That means the dough is really getting thick now. It is really hanging on the dough hook. In fact, I'll show you now, because I feel like we're good enough along here that this is something that you'd really like to see. So as usual, please excuse the camera movements here. You know, we're a one-stop shop here. But you'll see here, you see how the dough is nice and formed there on the hook. And it's kind of bumping the stand mixer a little bit. Stand mixer's locked in, so that's just fine. I'm going to put you back up on my little tripod here. Beg your pardon. You know, you understand. We're a one-stop shop here. We're a small shop. Now what I'm going to do is turn off the mixer for a minute because I want to feel it. I want to see if it's sticky yet. Okay, let's try, shall we? It's still a little sticky. Not super sticky. It's getting more silky, but you want it to be completely smooth. You don't want it to stick to your hands at all. So this dough requires about an hour's rise. Sometimes I have forgotten and let it go a lot longer than an hour. But in general, I will set my timer for an hour. Once it's done after an hour, I either bake with it right away, or in the case of tonight, when it's going to be several more hours until we watch the Super Bowl, I just stick it in the fridge. And the way that I do that is I will take just a Ziploc zip top bag and spray some cooking spray in it, just so it doesn't stick. Stick it in, seal it up, into the fridge it goes. And then basically I bring it out straight from the fridge when I'm ready to bake with it. And you can do anything with this. Like I said before, you can do any kind of recipe with this. It's just a super versatile dough recipe. I mean, I've made calzones. We've grilled on the grill with this pizza dough recipe. There's just so many options for you. Okay, now it seems to have sucked up all that flour, so that's a good sign. I'm gonna turn this off again and give it a try. Oh no, that's much better. I touch it and it just, I mean, my hand comes off with no flour whatsoever. It's not at all sticky. Feels just great. So, friends, like, I'm not teasing with you guys. This is the easiest recipe ever in the history of pizza dough recipes. All I'm going to do now is take it off the dough hook and just let it plop straight into that stainless pan. And you'll do the same when you hand knead it. Just, you know, knead it on either a clean counter or on, frankly, I used to do it on a pizza pan a lot. Then just put it in a big bowl. Sometimes, and I will do this today, just so it doesn't make a fool out of me, sometimes even in this bowl, and now you'll please forgive the doorbell. I cannot talk right now to them because I'm talking to you all. I hope it is not anybody that it has having an emergency. I hope you did hear the doorbell because that is the funniest part. I do love a doorbell gag. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is take this vegetable oil and just spray it around the sides. Honestly, I may even pick this ball up and you'll see it's like very nicely sized. Doesn't stick at all. I'll just spray like this. Plunk that in like that. I'll show you how that looks. Let me take off the dough hook so it looks nice and clean. We'll just put this in the sink. They have not rung again, so I think it's probably fine. and our neighbors are not here. They have gone off for the day, so I know it's not our neighbors in need of a cup of sugar. I'm going to show you how this looks. Please excuse my hand. See, look at that. It's perfectly done. So says the chef. So, all we really have to do now, as I get you set back up on the tripod, all we really have to do now is wait. It's just a waiting game at this point. I'm going to put some not aluminum foil, some plastic over the top of this. You could do foil too, but I like to look in it and see how it's rising at any given time for about an hour. Just put some plastic over the top. I just leave it, frankly, here on the counter. That's good as long as it's reasonably warm. Like, don't stick it out in the middle of a cold winter's day or something. By the time an hour has passed, it will pretty much have doubled in size, and you know you're ready to go. Like I said, today what I'll do is take this, put it in a zip top bag, put some more vegetable oil spray in there just to kind of keep it from sticking, stick it in the fridge. As soon as I'm ready to bake with it, off we go. Out of the fridge it comes, and there's just nothing to it. And then after that, the world is your oyster. I think tonight we're going to do a Beyond Beef pizza with some Whole Foods like 365 mozzarella shreds. So I've not used those before. They're the plant-based ones, and I haven't used those before, so that'll be fun to try. And some nachos besides. So I think we are not going to starve, and I think that this dough is going to be one of the stars of the show. Thank you guys so much for watching, as usual, as ever and ever. If you've got amendments, questions, concerns, resignations, reservations, and etc., you know where to find me. Please comment below this video today. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day, and go Chiefs and/or 49ers. Bye.